The group stages are over and it's the knockout round, the round of 16 at Euro 2020. In today's video, I'm just going to be doing a roundup of all the groups. Going to be going through my predictions for the group stages, see how well I did, or rather how poorly I did, and then we'll be doing some very quick predictions just on the round of 16 games, so do make sure to stick around for that. If you haven't done it already, and why didn't you do it as soon as you clicked on the video, just make sure to click a like on the video because that'll make me very happy. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and if you have subscribed, share the channel with someone you know. Let's do this chronologically, shall we? Let's start at the start. Group A, which had Italy, Turkey, oh gosh, who else? Wales and Switzerland. Now, in terms of how it actually ended, Italy topped the group in excellent fashion. You love to see it. Mancini, the absolute bay, the god Mancini, leading Italy to victory. Italy were flawless, 9 points. I said, I called it. I said before that Italy, for me, were going to go very far in this competition, and after the first match, everyone was saying the same thing. You love to see it. Italy playing some really nice football. They scored 3 goals for the first time at a European competition in the first game, and then they did that for the second time in their history in the second game against Switzerland. So yeah, they've had an amazing group stage, and they are looking very healthy going in to the round of 16. And as I mentioned, they are becoming more of a European Championship winner in lots of people's eyes. So great stuff. They play some lovely football, very attacking from Mancini, but also very good technical midfield, very robust, strong defence as well. Turkey, probably the biggest disappointment of the whole tournament. I predicted them to get to the semi-finals in my predictions video because I thought they'd finish second in the group, they'd have a relatively easy run. I thought, maybe they could just beat Netherlands and then they'd get knocked out in the semis. Awful, woeful, offered nothing. Such a disappointing side, such a disappointing performance from them. They got some really good players, that's indisputable. Everyone laughing at people for saying, oh, haha, you thought Turkey were going to do well. Well, yeah, they had a really good team. They really heavily underperformed. That's why they did so poorly. So, awful from them. I thought they'd get second, but they actually got fourth. Wales surprising everyone again, similar to the last Euros. I didn't think they did that well, but Gareth Bale coming up for them, great stuff. And then Switzerland, steady, relatively defensively resolute apart from against Italy, and they got in as one of the best placed third place teams. So the group ended with is Italy, Wales, Switzerland, Turkey. So I only got one of those right, with Italy at the top, but then I had Turkey and then Wales, Switzerland. Moving on to Group B, we had Belgium, Denmark, Russia, Finland. Denmark's first game obviously was overshadowed by an incredibly tragic event with Eriksen requiring CPR on the pitch, suffering from a cardiac arrest. He's their talisman, their key player. They actually lost the first game against Finland. I think had the Eriksen situation not happened, not only from a losing their best player perspective, but also from a how do you even play a football match after that? Word on the street is, and by word on the street I mean from Schmeichel, is that UEFA basically forced them to play the game. I don't know how true that is, but if it is true, it's despicable. I do think that really contributed to them losing the game. They missed a penalty, they conceded a goal, but ultimately it didn't matter because Denmark came back against Russia in the last game, got second place, and that's actually where I predicted them to finish. And then at the top, again, I predicted Belgium to top the group, and they did so in style. 3 wins from 3 games. Not really too surprising, considering how good that side is. I believe they're the top seeded side in the world, maybe. So that's how good they are. Lukaku, De Bruyne are doing bits. But I did get the order of Russia and Finland incorrect. Russia came rock bottom of the group, whereas Finland came third. Finland did much more than I thought they would, but like I say, there were mitigating circumstances around their victory against Denmark. And then Russia, they were just disappointed. I've already commented on Russia, how I don't think they should even be at this tournament due to, anti-doping reasons. So I'm happy to see the back of them, to be honest. Again, no offense to Russia fans, but they shouldn't have been here, really. Group C next, and I should have stuck with my original predictions in my preview video because I swapped around Austria and Ukraine in my official predictions. But obviously, as we know, the group ended with Netherlands at the top, followed by Austria, Ukraine, and then North Macedonia at the bottom. So I got the first place and fourth place correct in my official predictions, and then the middle 2 incorrect. Again, not surprising that North Macedonia finished right at the bottom. They tried to do all they could against Ukraine, it wasn't quite enough. Netherlands look threatening at times. I still think there is a weakness at the back, as we saw in that Ukraine game where they very nearly capitulated. If Van Dijk is in that back line, I don't think that happens. Ukraine and Austria both qualified. And again, unfortunately, I don't really see Austria and Ukraine getting past the round of 16. We will get into my exact round of 16 predictions, but I don't see them doing much unless there's some surprise waiting for us. And then Group D, the most important group, because it's the group with the eventual Euro 2020 winners in it. Scotland, no. England, obviously. England topped the group on 7 points, 3 clean sheets. I've already discussed England at length in a previous video. I'll pop the link here if you do want to go check that out, as well as an analysis of Scotland crashing out of the group. So not too much to add to this video, because like I said, it's mainly covered in that video. Disappointing against Scotland, but very impressive against Croatia, and getting the job done against the Czech Republic, being a bit defensively shaky at times, but nevertheless 3 clean sheets, getting the job done. And now they have a tricky game coming up in the round of 16 against Germany. However, on paper, if they can get past Germany, when they get past Germany, hopefully, they will have a relatively easy run through to the final. Coming in second place was Croatia, so I got those two correct. I got the order of those two correct. Croatia were quite disappointing in their first 2 games, but then against Scotland, that incredible midfield 3, Modric, Brozovic, Kovacic, just came into play and just dismantled Scotland, basically. Scotland did all they could to score a goal, not quite enough, and then Czech Republic did just enough to qualify as one of the best third place teams as well. Do I see Czech Republic and Croatia doing much at this tournament? Not realistically. Especially Czech Republic, I think they will 100% get knocked out in the next round. Croatia, maybe they can get through to the quarterfinals, but we'll have to see when it comes to my round of 16 predictions. Group E had the 3 S's plus Poland, Spain, Sweden, Slovakia, Poland. I feel so sorry for Robert Lewandowski. He's such an elite striker. What I mean by I feel sorry for him is that I'm obviously he's not, but imagine if like Lewandowski was, Spanish, or imagine if he was German. Like he'd just excel in those teams because he's obviously such an elite player. It always sort of annoys me and irks me when there's a player who's of such elite quality, but he's playing for a nation that's not quite got enough elite players around him. So, for example, I think of Holland and Norway. I think of Zlatan. Speaking of Sweden, for Sweden. So it's just a bit of a shame from Lewandowski's perspective. Poland crashing out, unlucky in the first game. It should have beaten Slovakia, red carded, very silly. And the rest of the team let Lewandowski down, frankly. Slovakia finished in 3rd place, but their goal difference was so poor that they got knocked out. Really weird situation with Spain. Really weird situation, getting 2 draws and then finally a win. Striker's not performing. Morata, he gets into good positions. He has lots of shots, but he ain't it, is it? He ain't it. That's your main man up front. Very worrying. I really liked that Laporte got a goal though. In the last game for Spain. You love to see that. However, it wasn't enough, and Sweden actually topped the group. I never would have thought that. Going back to the England scenario, that actually strengthens England's hand, because again, I know Sweden finished above Spain. However, objectively, Spain is a stronger side than Sweden, on paper in terms of individual quality. And in theory, England could now play Sweden in the quarterfinals rather than Spain. Our predictions for this one, I believe, were Spain, Poland, Sweden, and then Slovakia at the bottom. Totally wrong. The group of death. Poor Hungary, man. Poor Hungary. Honestly, Hungary were amazing, and they were so unfortunate to not actually qualify. At one point, when it was the France-Portugal game, they were in 2nd place for like 20 minutes or something like that. It was such an exciting last day of the group stage. And I feel so sorry for Hungary, because they played really well against Portugal. I know they lost 3-0. You could say, oh, they got battered. They really didn't. Up until the first goal, it was incredibly even. And it really annoyed me from the commentator who said, oh, you can't say Portugal don't deserve that goal. I sort of argue against that. I think that a draw at that point in time was a pretty fair result. Obviously, Portugal then got a penalty and Hungary capitulated a little bit and they conceded 3. But then they lead against the current world champions and the current favourites of the Euros. They can't hold the lead, but they get a draw against France, amazing. And against Germany, they scored 2 goals. I know they end up drawing the game, but they were winning for a large portion of that game. And like I said, getting 2 goals against Germany. Scenes, absolute scenes. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough for them, only 2 points. Had they beaten Germany, then they would have qualified. Unfortunately, they didn't. But yeah, even though they finished bottom, and that is where I predicted them to finish, I think they did their fans very proud. And they were probably one of the biggest surprise packages of the Euros, for me anyway. Like, I didn't think they'd roll over and be, 5-0 every single game. However, I really didn't see them doing anything. And honestly, they competed in every single game to a very high standard, so fair play to Hungary. The top was the only other one I got correct from Group F, and that was France winning it Again, they weren't overly impressive. They weren't overly impressive against Germany or Portugal. However, they did enough to get first place. Germany did much better than I thought they would. They finished second instead of third. And Portugal, by contrast, did much worse than I thought they would do. In terms of individual quality, Portugal's starting 11 is the second best in the whole competition. First being France. Ooh, they didn't play very well. They didn't play very well. Along with Turkey, for me, relative to what I expected, they've been the most disappointing side. And that might sound mad because, you know, they beat Hungary and then they drew against France, but they got smashed by Germany, and I don't think they played well in any of those games. They've got such, as I mentioned, such quality in terms of individuals, such good attacking talent as well, but I don't think they've got the right manager for the job. He's an incredibly defensive, risk-averse manager, very conservative, and that's how they won Euro 2016, and that's how they won the Nations League. But they've gained, since then, so many great options in terms of an attacking sense. And for me, they're not being utilised enough, so I'm not sure that he's the right man for the job for this current Portugal side. He was the perfect man back in 2016, when the side was much more limited in terms of quality, and they had to rely more on the counter-attack. But now you've got such excellent attacking players. I don't know if it's fully required, and I think it's holding them back. I think it's hindering them. But ultimately, they did get through as one of the best placed third place teams, so who knows what will happen, but they do have a very tricky round of 16 game, and let's get on to the round of 16 games and let's predict all of my round of 16 fixtures. We're going back to the Euro 2020 predictor for this. Obviously it's been updated with the teams that did go through because I didn't get all of them right, so we're having another crack at it, and again I will do the whole route to the final, but I'll update it at every single stage, so expect a video at every single stage. So the first one is Belgium versus Portugal. This is an incredibly tasty fixture, and I did not expect that to happen at all. I thought Germany were going to underperform. Absolutely not. Portugal did. Belgium, as we've just discussed, they had to top their group. They really did. And because I've been so disappointed with how Portugal have performed so far, and because Belgium have got De Bruyne, he doesn't look like he's carrying any injuries really at all. Even Eden Hazard's getting a decent amount of game time, he looks fit. Lukaku is scoring all of the goals, and I do think that even though Belgium are defensively suspect, I am going to say this is a Belgium victory, and I'm going to say that Belgium win this one 3-1. It'll be 3-1 to Belgium, and I'll say De Bruyne gets 2 assists as well, and Lukaku gets a brace. Ronaldo will score for Portugal, but it won't be enough, and it will be Belgium who go through. And in terms of who faces them, this isn't a question for me. Austria weren't overly impressive in the group stages, whereas Italy were. Italy for me are one of the strongest sides in the competition, so I am going to say Italy win that one, and that is actually one of the quarterfinals I predicted. So good to see that some sort of consistency from my predictions here. France-Switzerland, once again, that'll be the end of Switzerland's tournament. I think I had Wales here initially because I had them to finish third. I don't see Switzerland doing anything. They weren't that impressive. They beat a poor Turkey side. They drew against Wales. They look very tepid against Italy, and they just didn't look that good throughout. And whilst France have struggled a tiny bit relative to how you might expect them to perform, France are France, and they're going to beat Switzerland. Now this is a very interesting fixture because for me this was going to be Croatia-Sweden, and I just had Croatia to win. And normally on paper I would have said definitely. If you can hear creaking, by the way, my chair is popping off. I have no idea what is going on there. Anyway, Croatia-Spain, on paper I would have said Spain, but they have been really, really underperforming. But by that same token, so have Croatia. They've also underperformed. I'm going to say that Spain get their act together and Morata starts scoring some goals, and that will see a France-Spain quarter-final. And look at these first 2 quarter-finals that we've got. These are juggernaut fixtures. You look at this and you think these must be the semi-finals, right? This is only the quarter-finals. This is absolutely mad. And it's just a testament to how strong this half of the draw is. Look at this half. Look at these teams: Belgium, Portugal, Italy, France, Spain, Croatia, compared to England, Germany, Netherlands, and maybe you could say Wales and Denmark as your dark horses, but apart from that, in terms of quality, it's really lacking in this side of the draw. Another reason why I wanted England to finish first, because clearly they're in the easier draw. Yes, they have to play Germany, but they are clearly in the easier half of the draw. But moving on to Sweden, Ukraine, I do think that will be Sweden. I think that they'll get, following their success in the World Cup, Sweden got to a semi-final. at the World Cup. No, they didn't. They got to a quarter. Oh, my brain. They got to a quarter-final at the World Cup, and I think they'll get to another quarter-final at the Euros. Ukraine really didn't convince me. Didn't see enough from Zinchenko. Yarmolenko's good at times, but not quite enough. Whereas Sweden, on the other hand, surprised me how good they were. They really surprised me. I thought they would struggle for goals without Zlatan. Hasn't happened at all. Netherlands, Czech Republic, there's such a disparity in quality for me there. Czech Republic were fine against England, like they threatened at times from the second ball, from set pieces and corners and crosses. But apart from that, they didn't really offer too much. Got a draw against Croatia, beat a poor Scotland side. And I just think the Netherlands will be too much for them. They'll have too much quality. Wales, Denmark. I'm going to give it to Wales. I'm going to give it to Wales. Had Eriksson been available, I would have said Denmark, I think. But Wales have really impressed me in the group stages. Did much more than I thought they would. Gareth Bale's been playing very well. So I'm going to say that we'll set up a Wales-Netherlands quarter-final. Then England-Germany. Obviously, we're going England. That's the end of the video. No, so this is obviously a very tricky fixture. Yes, I appreciate that. In reality, I didn't actually give my score predictions, did I? I said that would be 3-1. I think that'd be 2-0. 2-0. 1-0. 0-0 penalties. 3-1. 1-0. No, 2-1 there. And then this will be 2-1 to the England. Germany will score, and England's clean sheet record will be broken. But England are going to beat Germany, and my logic is thus. I don't really know. Germany have been good this tournament. They've been decent, but they did lose against France. They look shaky against Hungary, who obviously scored 2 goals against them. Yes, Hungary were very decent side, but Germany should have been beating Hungary quite comfortably. They did look very good against Portugal. I've already talked about my disappointment in Portugal. And I see, in terms of individual quality, I genuinely think that England maybe have a better starting 11. Maybe. Yeah, that's very tenuous. You could. More I'm thinking about it. I think England can take Germany. I think it's going to be a revenge for 2010. Because no, I haven't forgotten that, and I never will. Even though Germany still would have won that game regardless of the Lampard goal being given. But that's irrelevant. I'm going to say that England beat Germany out of hope more than expectation. But if I'm going to say it's coming home, I've got to say it, haven't I? I've got to say England beat Germany. And whilst I'm here, I'm going to predict the quarterfinals, the World semi-finals, final. It hasn't changed too much from my original predictions video, but I will update this once we get through to the quarters. So I do think, as I explained in my previous predictions video, again, if you haven't seen that, go give it a watch. Put a link somewhere. I think Italy are going to be too defensively good for Belgium. I think France, so they'll beat Spain. That will be a very good game, though. England are beating Sweden because it's Sweden, and I think that will be the end of Wales' tournament. They'll have a decent tournament, but no, it's coming home, so England are getting to the final, and I do think that probably Germany are a better side than Netherlands. If it was a Van Dijk Netherlands, different story, but it isn't. So I think England can do the business there. Italy, France, I've already said I think it's going to be Italy who are going to be too good for France, and then England to win the whole thing. But we'll get into the quarterfinals at like genuine predictions when we actually see who's in the quarterfinals, because knowing my luck, none of these are going to be right. But guys, that is my full Euro 2020 group stage roundup and my knockout predictions, primarily for the round of 16, quarterfinal, semi-finals, final obviously might change because I'm not known for my incredibly accurate predictions, and if and when they do change, I will do another video closer to the time. You know the drill. Make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe. If you are subscribed, share the video with a friend or someone you think might like football videos. Do make sure to join our live streams. The next game I will be streaming will be the Wales-Denmark game. Hopefully this video comes out before then. I can't be 100% accurate on that because it is at 1:15 in the morning when I'm recording this video, and the game is in a few, tomorrow / in a few hours. You know how it works. You know how time works and dates work. Blah, blah, blah. So who knows? Maybe, hopefully, will be, but you never know. And after this video, I think will probably be a tier list ranking all Euro 2020 badges. So stay tuned for that. Eat, skeet, delete. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.